Howdy class, it's Maya Andreasen, and in this last video about constraints, I am going to be talking about the scale constraint. So a scale constraint matches the scaling of one object to one or more other objects. This constraint is useful for making several objects scale simultaneously. So I'm taking some of the lessons from the geometry and normal constraint lesson that we did earlier. So I have two discs here that I made to look like basically the color portion of the eye and the pupil. And I used a geometry constraint so that it doesn't leave the colored portion of the eye. And I also used a normal constraint so that it also always stays in the same relative direction as the color portion of the eye. So the geometry constraint and normal constraint did that. And then I used a scale constraint and I put it on this control, but a scale constraint could be any two objects. It could be a control, it could be a light, like this light in the scene, it could be another piece of geo, it doesn't really matter what it is. And anyway, so, if I scale this control up or down, as you can see, it appears as if my pupils are getting bigger and smaller. And so this little clipping here, this can actually be fixed if we go into the geometry constraint. Or is it the normal constraint? So let's take a look here. Actually, the scale constraint. So here in the scale constraint, we can actually put in offsets in the Z. So I could do an offset of 0.6, and it's going to come forward a bit, right? And so I can do that with offsets, right? So here we go. And so now I can make it bigger. I can make it smaller, and it's not clipping. So once again, I went into the attribute editor. And I went under the Scale Constraint tab, and I just played with the offset in the Z in order to make it so that there isn't any clipping when the pupil gets really small. So once again, we can go over here, we can change it. Let's do 0.5, and there we go. All right, so let's put this into action and show you the steps I use to make the scale constraint and how it works. So I am going to open my scale constraint scene. And here we have my control, which, by the way, I did not freeze transformations, so I will be doing that now. Or I'll try to. It's my NURB circle, freeze, modify freeze transformations options box. If they're not working, it's because you need to reset your settings. All right, we freeze transformations, and now it works. That's a good little tip in case your freeze transformations aren't working. You probably don't have certain things checked. All right, so now that my transformations are frozen, we can put in our scale constraint. So the pupil already has this geometry constraint, and it already has the normal constraint on it. So if I were to select it and move it around, as you can see, it's not going to leave the geo. So with my control selected, I'm going to control select over in the outliner the pupil geo. It's just easier to do it that way. And then I am going to go to Constrain Scale Options box, Edit Reset Settings, right? And click Add. And then we can test if it worked by scaling our control. And indeed it does. And if we want to change the offset, once again, we go into the attribute editor for the actual geo, and we go to scale constraint. It's the normal. There it is. And then we change the offset so that, there we go. And so we can make it bigger or smaller accordingly. All right, that's how you create a scale constraint and how you get it to work. I'm Maya Andreasen, and until next time, bye-bye.